How many questions can you raise which challenge the truth or validity of this statement? That peacock is the national bird of India. How many questions can you raise? Come on. Why is it called the national bird of India?
Why only peacock?
On what basis was it decided to be the national bird of India? When was it decided? Who decided? Lovely. Who cares? My boy, right? I don't care. I mean, where did I ever use it? So the question of why have a national bird in the first place, right? The point I want to drive home, okay, what is it? That we were educated to remember solutions since kindergarten, but we were not educated to create solutions. We were given art material and say, draw, typically in school, draw this, right? Draw a still life. And we knew what we had to draw. We weren't given craft material and say, okay, do what you can and see what you come up with, right? So there's a difference between art and creativity, while most people can assume it to be the same, right? So let me connect dots through history to drive my point home. The manual era lasted for about 1.5 million years. You had the stone flake, right? That was the first human tool. In the Industrial Revolution, you had factory redesigns every 5 to 16 years. In the Information Age, you have new models and versions coming every 6 months or maybe even less, right? So what does the future hold for us? How do we prepare the youth, the children of today for the future they don't even know about? Right? There is a gap. And what do we do about that? The second point I want to drive home is, so let me give you a metaphor, an example, Exams asked you, x3 plus y3 is equal to blah, blah, blah. So what is the value of x and y? How many people agree you did this? But when you go for a job interview, the CEO is going to ask you, what is the last time you failed, and tell me how you overcame that failure? Do they match? I hope I drive home the point. There is a huge gap between what we are being educated for and where it is getting applied, right? NASSCOM report says that 45% of the youth or the employers feel that they're not capable of being employed, right? Another international research says 65% of the youth will go on to do jobs that do not exist, that they're not qualified to do. Right? So how are we bridging this gap? And this is not just a story on facts and figures. This is also my story. I graduated from the best colleges as a topper. So I was a software engineer. And I recovered from it. And I went on to be an education entrepreneur. So I basically ended up doing something that I was not really qualified for. Right? So I will share this, this paradox, this irony of this current system in the education system in, at this point of time, is that there's a huge gap between what we're learning and what we need in real life, right? And I saw that even more closer while I was in college, right, when I was your age. I'm not too old now, so a decade earlier. I was 19 and we started our first venture called School of Universal Learning, SOUL, which was into corporate training with a lot of other senior founders. So I was just one of the co-founders. And the idea was to do corporate training and do training programs for MBA colleges and institutes. And there was one common pattern that was emerging. Everyone was asking, we need training programs for creative thinking, collaboration, expression, communication skills. And my heart sank. I said, what is this? Aren't these the most fundamental skills that we all need? Right? I don't care. And I don't even need to remember when did Gandhi March start. But I need to be able to express my viewpoints as effectively. Something even more personal, I had a very close friend. She was the best in class technically. But she was rejected in 10 interviews back to back because she failed in every group discussion, right? She looked out for an investor because she had an awesome innovation, But she failed to get any investor because she just couldn't come up on stage and express her idea. Or maybe even if she did, not as creatively as someone else could, to get a funding. Right? So she failed. She was a 99 percentile in capital. And still, that same system failed her. Right? So that's when it really hit me hard, and I said, something needs to be done about this, right? Why are we trying to do this unlearning and learning and this employability skills and all this discussion when we are 19, 20, 22, or maybe post-graduation, when this needs to be done right in the foundational years? Why aren't we taught about this in school, no matter what career we chose? These are going to be required lifelong. So connecting the two previous points, how do we make learning relevant for real life? And how do we equip them to be future ready? These were two of my biggest concerns, things that I was really bothered about, that I was really passionate about. And I said, we need to do something about it. And that's when we started Intelligence Plus in 2013. For all the women, girls out here, I was just married. I don't have a background of educators in my family or entrepreneurs. And I was in a Marwadi family. So, and I still started. That doesn't mean I really had a lot of odds to struggle through. No, I won't say I'm like this extremist condition. But the point I want to tell you is, no matter what, you can do it alone, at what age you are in life, or at what point of support system you have, right? And we started Intelligence Plus with the idea of making it as an after-school program for children, more like an experiential hub to see how we could develop, these skills. So we did a lot of research. So globally, they're called as 21st century skills, which, primarily focuses on 6 core areas: creativity and innovation, thinking skills, communication skills, social and emotional learning, which basically includes your interpersonal and leadership and intrapersonal skills, and practical life skills. So now the truth of my life, I didn't know what an account pay on a check meant till I wrote my first check as an entrepreneur. I graduated from the best colleges and I didn't know what an account pay means on a check. That's the irony of our life, right? And so practical life skills. Can we survive in this age of digital literacy and media and all of these? These are practical life skills. And we started this as an after-school program for children 7 to 14 years, and we said, let's see what happens. And the results were amazing. Children, we say, are the future of the country. My paradigm shift was, children are change makers today, not tomorrow, right? The youth is not the future of the nation. They are the nation today. Children need not be delayed to the future and say, oh, you will be. You are today. You can be change makers beginning today and take proactive action in the community around you, because the whole paradigm of learning has to change from content to context. We don't anymore need to mug up so much content. There is technology for that. It's okay to know the basic math and science. My contention is, you need to know how to apply your knowledge or skills to solve a real world problem. That's when you are an entrepreneur, like an entrepreneur within an organization, or an entrepreneur, or a social entrepreneur, or an innovator. And unless you're not doing that, you're not going to be valued in any organization, whether you're doing a job or your own enterprise. If you are not applying your skills to create solutions there, right? So we said, this is great. It's working. But then it's time to see whether it can work for everybody out there, right? It's okay to do it for 10 people. So we started more centers and we did it for 50 and then 100 within Pune as an after-school system. But we said, if we have to achieve scale and real impact, it has to go to the mainstream education. And it has to work with every demographic, not just a tier 1 city like Pune. So we said, okay, what do we do? How do we reach that? And that was a time, in 2013-14, skilling and entrepreneurship and startup was not such a fancy word the way it is now, right? So we said we need to create awareness in the first place for this, because when we spoke to parents about thinking skills, they were like, what thinking skills? We already think, okay, you tell me math, I understand. What is thinking skills, right? Creativity. Oh, so you do art and craft? Or we said entrepreneurship. You're not too young to burden them with, these things. Let them enjoy. So we got a lot of these kind of feedbacks. not realizing that children are born entrepreneurs. They want to experiment. They want to grow out. They want to express themselves. So we said, oh, we don't want to start a parallel system. India has more than 25 lakh schools. We don't want to start a parallel system. We want to get it in the system. No, with due respect to the schools, I've learned a lot from my school. They're trying to do their best within their frameworks. But sometimes we just need to reinvent that framework in which we try to fit in, right? And we said, we're going to go into the school system and say, hey, irrespective of the board, the demographics, you need to develop these skills in children. You're doing math and geography and English, that's brilliant. But what about 21st century skills? Where is that happening? And so what is the best method to do that? An entrepreneur's cap on, and we started thinking. And we said, okay, competitions. India loves competition. We like to compete. We like to say, oh, my child was the first one. And we said, okay, so let's start with a challenge. And that's when we started InnoVenture, India's first ideation and entrepreneurship challenge for school children, 9 to 14 years. In the first year, in 2015, we did only Pune. We were a 4-member team. To let you know that you don't need, a team of 20 and managers to do great things. We were 4-members team, out of which 2 were full-time interns. 1 was a full-time employee, an office boy and me. That's it. And we said, okay, we need to do something about it. And we said, okay, let's do that with schools in Pune. And if you have ever worked with schools or colleges in Pune, they're a tough nut to crack. So our goal was to do 3,000 odd children. We had 3 months of time, assuming the academic deadline. Guess what? We did 12,500 children that year in 3 months. The point is not the scale. The point is we realized that parents, children, including the educators, realize that there is a need to do this, but may not be equipped enough or have the resources to do that. And it was time we take it ahead. Of course, to cut the long story short, there were a lot of pros and cons and changes in the mediums and stuff. The next year we took it and scaled it to Maharashtra, and we started piloting. And then we took it in 2016, we took it across the country. First year we did only 43 schools in about 23 cities. So we were just everywhere. But we said we need to do something, and what better an idea as an entrepreneur to piggyback and ride on someone else's goodwill. So we said, okay, if we have to reach across India with such a small team, we need to really partner and collaborate, because you can't do everything alone, right? A very important lesson. And so we tapped up with Education World, which was like the #1 magazine in schools. And we said, and again, a lesson in learning, when we were contemplating within this office of why should they partner, what is it for them, we just couldn't find any reason, because they don't need branding in schools. They are already #1. We need it. So what do we have? So I went with nothing and an idea, and I called up that person, the CEO, with a LinkedIn request, and I said, this is what we are. And upfront, we don't have sponsorship amount, but we really believe in our idea, and I think you will agree to that. And he couldn't say no. And he said, yes, we love your idea, we'll do that. And they promoted, for us. And the next year, we reached out to 104 cities across the country with 400 plus schools in 1 year with a team of 6 people. To cut the long story short, we saw children coming up with amazing innovations. A lot of children actually in the finale came up with ideas and actually went out to implement them in real life. Children were coming up with amazing ideas as unique as how do we stop indiscriminate usage of water in public areas, to how do we stop people using phones unnecessarily just because it's free, right? Children coming up with solutions for real problems. And the key is not about having the skills. The key is that they were just exposed to the idea that they can be change makers beginning today. All they have to do is look around and look for problems and ask for help and use their skills in their own bandwidth to come up and create solutions, right? Which is the biggest lesson in learning for us. So the same applies to y'all. Y'all are 5 years maybe older to the age group you're working with. If they can be the change makers, so can you. All you need to go around and do is look at problems, empathy, look around problems, the smallest of ones that you see, which you think you can't do anything about, it's too big, but you can. One man can. We did it as a small team, and we're still doing it, and so can all of you. So I always love by ending with George Bernard Shaw's quote that you see things and say why. I see things that were never there and say why not? And if not us, then who? If not now, then when? Today is the time to be the change. Thank you.